The submerged temple was filled with shadows and stagnant water. The flickering light of torches revealed sculptures worn smooth by centuries of abandonment. Naomi Boom smelled mildew and salt spray as drops fell from the ceiling, forming dark puddles. Her fingers brushed against a wall covered in carved symbols, intertwined geometric shapes that seemed to pulse beneath the wavering light. A design repeated itself, a circle intersected by a winding line, like a river crossing a moon. She pulled a notebook from her pocket and made quick copies. The native guide, Tiago Torres, remained silent, observing every movement. His warning before they entered echoed in her mind. No one returns the same from where the ancients sleep. The water rose to her knees as she advanced through a sloping corridor. Naomi stumbled over something metallic, a corroded bronze plate, marked by a lunar insignia. Tiago lifted it, examining the inscription on the edges. "Coordinates," he said, pointing to almost obliterated numbers. "Not of these mountains." Naomi felt a shiver. The expedition's project mentioned legends of an ancient observatory nearby, but nothing about submerged maps. A vaulted chamber appeared ahead, its ceiling supported by intertwined serpent-shaped columns. In the center, a circular stone rested on a pedestal, its surface marked by grooves that formed constellations. Naomi recognized ancient star patterns, but displaced, as if the celestial map were out of sync. Tiago touched the stone, and a mechanism groaned. Part of the wall slid open, revealing a faded mural, human figures offering gleaming objects to a sphere in the sky. Below them, the lunar insignia repeated itself in faded red. Then they heard the first sound beyond the dripping. Dry, deliberate footsteps. From the other side of the room, Soraya Boom emerged, carrying a scroll sealed with the Brotherhood's emblem. "You shouldn't have come this far. But since you have, perhaps we can make a deal." Naomi recognized her immediately. Her aunt, missing for 10 years, now clad in black robes embroidered with silver. Tiago stepped forward, but Soraya raised her hand, and a bluish light enveloped the celestial stone. "This path is not for you. Nor for you, niece." Naomi pressed the notebook against her chest. "What have you been doing all these years?" Soraya smiled, breaking the seal on the document. "Why are you here? Seeking answers? Power?" She unfurled the scroll, revealing markings identical to those on the walls. "The ancients didn't want to be found, but I can read what they left behind." Tiago grasped Naomi's arm. "She's lying. The Brotherhood only wants what lies beneath the stone." A crash shook the temple. Water began to gush from cracks in the walls. Soraya stepped back, tucking the scroll away. "Decide, Naomi. Do I keep the map, or the truth?" The blue light intensified, casting distorted shadows that danced like phantoms. Naomi looked at the celestial stone, then at the mural. The figures seemed to move, pointing to something beyond the temple. Tiago pulled her into a new passage that opened. "The trail continues. She won't follow us." As they ran, Naomi noticed something on the floor, a small obsidian sphere engraved with the lunar insignia. She tucked it into her pocket, determined not to look back. The air grew denser, heavy with the smells of damp earth and rust. Tiago stopped abruptly before a steep staircase. "The next mark is up there." Naomi nodded, remembering the coordinates on the bronze plate. They weren't of these mountains, but perhaps of the sky. The staircase led to an open platform, where the cool mountain air cut through the temple's humidity. Naomi breathed deeply, smelling pine and dry earth. Above them stretched a stone circle embedded in the ground, its edges decorated with the same carvings as the insignia. Tiago knelt, tracing ancient tool marks. "This wasn't made by the Quirrell," he murmured, referring to the ancestral civilization of the region. "They used bronze, not iron." Naomi pulled the obsidian sphere from her pocket. As she approached the circle, the stone reacted. Golden veins erupted on its surface, aligning with grooves in the ground. A faint projection appeared in the air, showing stars in rapid motion. "A celestial chart," she said, recognizing patterns she'd studied in ancient books. "But dated 3 days from now." Tiago frowned. "The ritual only works on the right date. Why guide us here now? The sound of footsteps made them turn. Soraya emerged from the staircase, the scroll open in her hand. You are predictable, she said, without hostility. The ancients wanted us to know when, not where. She pointed to the sphere. That is a key, and the sky will guide you. Naomi hesitated. Why help us? Soraya laughed, dry and bitter. The Brotherhood wants the same as you, to understand what the Quirrell tried to contain. We just chose different paths. Tiago interrupted, tense. They sacrificed people on altars. They weren't wise, they were fanatics. Soraya raised an eyebrow. Or heroes. The records speak of an event, a convergence. Something coming from the sky, not the stars. She pointed to the projection, where a constellation shone more intensely. The sphere will take you there. But beware, what the Quirrell feared was not human. A strong wind dispersed the projection. Naomi pocketed the sphere, resolute. We will go alone. Soraya nodded, as if expecting it. Then remember, the insignia is not a warning. It's a promise. She retreated, disappearing down the stairs, without looking back. The trail stretched beyond the platform, winding through a rocky ravine. In the distance, they saw semicircular structures buried beneath vegetation, remnants of observatories or smaller temples. Tiago stopped before a slanted slab, its surface marked by aligned holes. Solar calendar, he explained. Sunrise rays pass through here to mark seasons. Naomi noticed something on the edges, small carvings of unknown animals, with too many limbs and multifaceted eyes. As dusk fell, they set up camp near a river. While Tiago built a fire, Naomi examined the scroll Soraya had discreetly dropped. It contained a drawing of the insignia, surrounded by mathematical equations in a dead language. A note in the margin read, "The convergence is not an end. It's a test." She hid the document upon hearing distant voices, laughter and Quechua songs coming from a nearby village. The next morning, a group of natives approached, led by an elderly woman with clear eyes. "Maxinana sends messages to those who walk in circles," she said, handing Naomi a smooth stone with the carved insignia. "The river shows the way. Follow the water to the serpent's mouth." Before they could ask more, the villagers departed, leaving a heavy silence. The serpent's mouth revealed a cave behind a waterfall, its entrance blocked by debris. Using tools from their camp, Tiago and Naomi removed stones for hours until a narrow tunnel emerged. Inside, they found an underground lake, its black waters reflecting shimmering stalactites. In the center, a rocky island housed an altar with a broken stele, the missing half of the insignia. Naomi approached, but Tiago stopped her. "The water is rising." Indeed, the lake level was rapidly increasing, with no visible source. As they retreated, the obsidian sphere scorched her pocket, emitting golden light. The celestial projection reappeared, this time showing the brilliant constellation aligning with the stele. "It's now," said Naomi, placing the sphere on the altar. The ground trembled. The lake water receded, revealing a mosaic on the bottom, hundreds of intertwined symbols, forming a larger figure, a serpent devouring its own tail, surrounded by stars. Tiago gasped, "Ouroboros." The Greeks knew this symbol, but this is older. A rumbling sound of something dragging echoed through the cave. From the tunnel, Soraya emerged, accompanied by 3 Brotherhood men. "You accelerated the process," she said, ignoring the tools Tiago raised defensively. "The convergence will happen in hours, not days. And now, we will all witness it." Naomi squeezed the sphere, feeling its heat intensify. "Witness what?" Soraya smiled, pointing to the mosaic. "The moment when heaven and earth touch. And we discover if we are worthy of surviving." The underground lake water began to swirl, forming a vortex around the island. The obsidian sphere now shone like a small sun, projecting golden rays that connected the symbols of the mosaic. Naomi felt the ground tremble beneath her feet, as whispering voices filled the cave, sounds that weren't quite voices, but echoed like memories of ancient words. Tiago grabbed her arm. "We need to get out of here." Soraya, however, walked to the edge of the lake, her eyes fixed on the steel. It's too late. She raised the scroll, which now shone in sync with the sphere. The ancients didn't foresee this. The convergence isn't a phenomenon. It's a choice. The Brotherhood men began to retreat, but a blue light erupted from the mosaic, engulfing them. Their silhouettes faded, as if dissolving into the air. Naomi ran to the island, determined to retrieve the sphere. As she touched it, images flooded her mind. Floating cities, creatures of light, a black sphere in the sky. And then, destruction. Waves of energy tearing the world into fragments. The vision ceased as Tiago pulled her back. What did you see? She shook her head, stunned. The future. Or a possible future. Naomi and Tiago ran through the tunnel, the golden light of the sphere still glowing in their hands. The vortex's sound grew louder, as if time itself were unraveling. The cave trembled, and stones fell from the ceiling, while the underground lake pulsed with a life of its own. "We can't stay here," shouted Tiago, pulling Naomi out of the water. She looked back, seeing Soraya standing in the center of the mosaic, her eyes closed, as if listening to something only she could hear. The blue light that had enveloped the Brotherhood men still lingered in the air, but now dissipated slowly, leaving only silence. Soraya opened her eyes, and for a moment, Naomi saw in them something that wasn't human, an ancient, distant, almost indifferent intelligence. "You hold the key to everything," she said, her voice echoing strangely. "But the truth is heavier than you imagine." Without waiting for a reply, she turned and vanished into the darkness of the tunnel, leaving Naomi and Tiago alone with the sphere and the final answers that might never be understood. Emerging from the cave, the sky was covered in dark clouds, and the air felt heavy, as if the entire world was holding its breath. Naomi tucked the sphere into her pocket, feeling its warmth still against her skin. Tiago looked at her, his eyes filled with unanswered questions. "What will we do now?" he asked, but Naomi already knew. "We will discover what the Quirrell tried to tell us," she replied, looking at the horizon where the sun began to set. Past and future were intertwined, and she had no choice but to move forward.